Okay, we're setting up the first scenario in under the Southern Cross, and we just looked at the counters we needed, and we just copied these from the sheet. So if you see here, this top half, it alternates blue and white, but they're all really blue. That means they're from the American counters, and then you have the yellow ones, and so those are from the Spanish counter. Is it Spanish? Argentinian? No. What
Spain.
Spain, and it's Argentina then, I guess?
Well, it just says Americana.
Okay.
The United Provinces, whatever that is.
And then there was this G6 that was there. So we've got it all arranged, and now we're gonna use this sheet to figure out where everything should be placed. We have run into our first issue, which is that it has been hard for my partner to identify the hex numbers on these setups because they're so small. Even with the magnifying glass, it's difficult to see them. So that's one issue to be aware of. Okay, so we finished setting up the ships and the battery. The question was, where do we place the wind direction? I don't think it really matters, but the diagram does have this indicator here. And then we have this turn track marker that I'm guessing goes on this, maybe? So that's for duels. So I would guess it would go on this side in box number 1. I don't know. I'll look at the setup again. So the next thing we're noticing in the setup is the shoals line. And so it says CFH. And so we see that you have a C here, you have a C here. So C seems to refer to this entire area, light colored area. And then you have F here, so that's an F there. So this F seems to refer to this light colored area. And then H over here seems to refer to this light colored area. So we will see what effect it has on the game. I guess that's like a shallow area. Okay, so we found these wind markers. I don't know if I talked about that already, but we just noticed that there doesn't seem to be a marker for the end turn.
End of game.
Yeah, end of game turn, right. So we are just gonna keep track of that mentally, I guess. Yeah. Okay, the next thing that we got confused by was the commander, and we settled on the idea that these names in parentheses represent the commander of each side. And we also, it occurred to me that we would need these administration markers to indicate hits and whatnot.
We'll need all
we're gonna keep this on the map. We might need this one for the ground indicator, so we'll leave that one on the map as well. So this is the setup we have so far. Okay, so the commander is an actual marker, an actual counter. It's not just, so you have that indication of who the commander is. So I'm just noticing now that the hexes are actually listed next to the ships over here, as well as the directions. So that's, if you can't read it on the map, you can use these numbers here. So we skipped the wind adjustment segment on turn 1, and we're doing the command determination, and we were asking, well, what is the command range? And it's that number on the top right. Top right.
Each player rolls a die to determine.
So we found in the rules that all ships are considered to be in command on the first turn of a scenario, unless there's no commander present. This ship is more than 6 hexes away from that ship, and so if it was to remain at that distance, on the next turn it would be out of command. So for rolling for initiative, you just take this number, the same command rating used to determine the command radius, and you just roll a d10, and you add the d10 to that number, and then you compare the two sides, who had the higher number. Okay, so we're doing the command determination.
Initiative determination.
Oh yeah, we did the initiative. Yeah, we did the initiative determination, and then we were doing the select command, select command, or a single out of command ship, and we've decided that we're going to select this formation of 4 ships, and then the next activation we'll do.
Well, I think we moved that block first.
Well, that's what I was saying.
And I think then the other team would move. The
Yeah,
first
right.
unit they
Yeah,
activate.
I understand that. I understand that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
So next we're going to do the movement of this formation. And so now we have to read a couple pages of rules on the movement because this seems to be the most complicated part of the game. Okay, so basically all ships seem to have the same base movement rate depending on the wind direction, and they're facing relative to the wind direction, and then there are modifiers to the number of movement points. So there's like a base rate of 4 movement points, and then there are modifiers that you have to apply that'll affect how many movement points the ship will get.
Got a difference between common sails and full sails?
Okay, so I was confused that the number here wasn't like relative to north, and so my partner just pointed out that there's a number here in the corner of the map that gives you what direction that is. So the way we found to quickly identify the right one is to point the wind on this chart in the same direction as it is here. So you can see it's pointing at number 2, so it should point that on this way. So you have this wind marker pointing in the same direction, and then you just look for the ship that's oriented in the same direction as the one on the map. So that's how you figure it out quickly. So for the first movement, because they're beating, that's 2 movement points, and then because it's calm, you get -1.
But we've got full sails.
Right. So, but you can choose. Apparently, you can choose at the moment of the movement turn.
I think.
Yeah, I don't know if you have to declare that before you
I think it said
start.
at the end of the turn you had to.
Right, but if you're starting the scenario, at what point do you declare that you have full sails? Is it during the
I
movement?
think you do it at the start of your movement.
Right. So that gives us another +1.
The ship may drop or raise.
And there's a chart
at the
here
end of its movement.
that gives you the modifiers. So I referred to the diagram because I wanted to know, should we turn these guys to link up with this guy, or should we just have these guys go straight? And what I saw was that if you look at the graph, with the wind oriented the same way as it is, on the map, if these ships were to turn to their right, they would be running, and that would mean that the next activation they would have a lot of movement points. Whereas if they were to turn to the left, they would be in irons, which would mean they would have 0 movement points. So to me, it seems like the right approach here, because if they all just continue straight, this guy is not going to be in command for the next activation. So I think the solution here is these guys have to turn to their
I don't know
right.
how much of a difference that makes at the moment.
Well,
You're out of command.
I think you're going to have your activations, right? Because you can is it you can only activate one ship once per turn?
Yes.
Okay, so. Well, I would still think that it would be better to do it that way, but I mean, it doesn't really. Yeah, you're right that it might
I want
not.
to explore all of the rules. So if we leave a ship out of command, then
We get to see what that looks like.
See what that looks like.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds fine to me. But it's good to give the speech for when I'm trying to refresh my memory of the rules. And I'm just noticing that he put these full sail markers. And I've heard about this game that it has a lot of administration markers that end up on the ships. So that's a new one. We said that we decided that you could declare whether or not you were full sails at the moment of movement, rather than having to do it sometime earlier.
Well, at the start of the first turn.
Oh, on the start of the first turn.
And then
okay.
at the end of your movement, you decide if you want to
I see.
drop off.
Okay, cool. If there's a step for it, then
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Oh, okay. My brain had a So I'm also just noticing that we have these anchor markers that indicate that these ships start at anchor, which is defined in the setup somewhere.
Special rules.
Yeah, it's one of these.
Yeah, that's one.
So for the Americans' activation, we decided to just leave the ships at anchor, because if you take them off of anchor, the number of turns is extended in this particular scenario. It's just one of the special rules of the scenario. And then for the second activation, for the Spanish, we just activated this single ship, and we declared that it would be at full sails, and we're just going to move it, whatever the number of hexes is, 2 hexes. Okay, so we were doing the fire resolution process, and we determined that these ships have a range of 10 in their normal arc of fire, because they don't have a red circle. If it has a red circle, it only has a range of 5. So these have a range of 10. The arc of fire is determined by this cone, going out from the side of the ship. And then you can also shoot straight forward or straight backward, but it has to be on this exact hex line, straight forward or straight backward. And the way you resolve it is you take the distance between this ship and the target, and you roll a d10, and the d10 has to be greater than or equal to the distance. And if it is, then you get a hit. So at a range of 5, you have an even chance of getting a hit. If you're closer, you have a much better chance. So that's how that works.
Make all these videos for a Facebook page. You can't actually.
Yeah, right. So
YouTube, here we come.
yeah, right. So we finished the fire resolution. There's no disengaging. There's no. We selected the other commands and did that. Melee. Oh, so we did this a little bit incorrectly, where we moved everything before we did before we looked at the fire resolution. We should have looked at one activation and done the fire activation for it, fire resolution, and then looked at the next activation. So for next time, we'll have to remember that. There's no melee combat. Ship status checks, none of these applied to us. And then we looked at the victory determination, and in the rules, it basically just says if one side does not break, then you go to the end of the turns, and then you use this to calculate victory points. And the way that you check breaks is if ships have lost, if one side has lost a ship, then you have to roll on a table. I don't know if you have to do that on each turn. I imagine maybe you do?
I think so.
Yeah, and so that's how you check for victory at the end of each turn. So in this scenario, it actually says that you don't check for the breaking of one of the fleets. So you have to. It gives a special victory check that you have to look for. Okay, so my partner just noticed that we had made a mistake, which was that we thought that this ship was out of command because it was.
Well, I think it is still out of command, but I think it's part of the formation. That's.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, so. Well, no, it says ships not conforming to either of these conditions are considered out of command.
What are the two conditions?
It's either within the range or it's part of the formation. So this one is part of the formation.
Okay.
So this one's not out of command.
So he's not out of. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, the mistake was that there's this rule. So group commands is, I guess, yeah, if it's the number that if you're within this hex range, formation means you can have something that's out of the range of the leader, but because it is connected by ships that are all facing the same direction
And within 4 hexes.
and are within 4 hexes,
Of another ship in the command.
right, then it's still part of this formation. So they all have to be facing the same way, and there has to be a commander there. And so I imagine then you could just keep stretching these guys out.
Well,
As long as they're facing the same direction, they would still be part of the formation. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I think so.
That kind of defeats the reasoning of the command, because they talk about a ship being in command.
Well, I think the idea is you can use flags to
But it's
talk
not,
to.
It's not just about using flags. It's about the ability of the commander to anything in it that I'd be asking,
Yeah, in a
fact
forum.
online or something.
To me, so the question is, could you have a string of ships all the way across the map
So
that are all
within
right
4 hexes of
that are
each
all
other.
part of one formation because they're facing the same way and they start, the first ship is within this command range of the captain. I think these rules are quite clear that you could do that. But my partner's saying it's not clear to him that would be the case. I think, to me, the downside of doing that, of stringing them across the map, is that once things get chaotic, you have much less ability to react to that.
Well, on a map like this, you'd run into shallows.
Right, exactly, and that's the other reason, right? So to me, that's the mechanic that prevents people from doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So my partner said, then we're going to the next turn, and we're doing the wind adjustment segment. So we incremented the turn marker, and he said that the way you do it.
So that's basically a 10% chance of an adjustment.
Right. So I was talking and it wasn't recording.
Go again.
So yeah, we're starting the new turn. We're doing the wind adjustment segment, and my partner said that the way you do it is you roll a d10. If you roll a 0, then you roll on this table, and you use this table to determine the change. And also you have to note that if you're playing south of the equator, which we are right now, you have to invert these terms.
I think it was the command ship.
Okay.
It was a total victory for the Spanish.
For the Spanish,
Yep.
but you said the Spanish ran aground.
Yeah, but they were able to get their ships
Out.
out. Yeah, and
Okay.
not all, only 2 of them ran aground, not all of them.
Okay. So yeah, so for the sake of the video, so you said historically what happened is they turned and
Well, they ran aground. I don't know.
you don't know
exactly
where.
but
Okay, 2 of them ran aground, but they overall won.
and then they were able to pull back, and then they came again and boarded.
Okay, and so what is your plan, or what's your suggestion?
I would suggest that we come in this way so we can get all of our ships to fire broadsides and focus everything on that ship
Oh,
there.
I see.
And if we can turn around, and we just keep doing that, fight and try and take that one out.
Right.
Just try and fight one ship at a time rather
Right.
than try and fight them all at
Yeah,
once.
because if we get in here, they can all shoot at us at the same time.
You know, and plus we got the battery to deal with as well. We can't sink a battery.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, I didn't think about that. No, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. So we just have to turn before I had forgotten
Before
about the
we
shoals.
hit
So
the
yeah, we just got to
shoals,
turn here and make sure we don't hit this.
Plus, that would
we don't
also
hit
give us
this.
the opportunity to bring all of the ships in a tighter formation as
Yeah,
well.
that sounds like a great idea. That sounds like exactly what we should do. And then, well, what's your plan? How do we deal with these?
Well, yeah, take that
One
one
step
out
at a time.
first, one step at a time. I mean, essentially, maybe try and come around a bit further, get in a bit closer, and just do the same thing.
Well, if we're here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's out of the range.
I just counted out the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got to get to there, and then turn.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's like World War II fighters taking out the bombers.
Yeah.
Exactly. You just take the weakest link, and then you
it's-
work your way in.
To try to isolate. Well, see, that's the other thing. We have to then switch to think from the other point of view.
Right. What should they do?
This ship appears to be outside the command radius of their commander, which puts
Right.
him out of command.
Right.
So that creates issues for that ship. So as the defender, you think, well, maybe you'd activate that ship and get him in closer.
Right. That makes sense.
But that's what I'm thinking.
Try to have the battery eat up.
Analyze it from this point of view first.
Right.
Then after that, analyze it
No,
from
that's
that
brilliant.
point of view.
That's brilliant. Okay. And then what about this ship? Do you think we should move it? Because every time we move one of these guys, we add.
extends the-
Was it 4? You add 4 to
2.
the turn track.
2.
2.
Yeah.
Okay.
For each one you activate, so it could
Okay,
activate.
that's not that much.
Well, it's an extra 6 turns potentially. That's half the game again.
Well, what do you mean an extra 6 turns? Oh, if you move all of them.
Yeah, if you activate each time you activate one, it's another 2 turns.
Each time you activate it? I thought it's only if you move it out of.
That's what I mean.
anchor.
When you weigh anchor.
Okay, right. Yeah. So right.
So if he weighed anchor, we'd go to 14 turns.
Yeah. To me, it makes sense to maybe try to move these two to have the battery facing in front of where the ships will have to come in.
Yeah. Although I'm not sure what the firing arc is for the battery. That's something we'll have to look at. I'm assuming
Right.
it'll be the same as a
Well,
ship.
this is a very interesting tactical problem. I'm really enjoying this. It's not. I was thinking these scenarios would be more generic, but the terrain, these shoals really add a lot to the thinking here. Okay, that's fantastic. So we just did the turn 2 command determination, and we just realized that this ship is now out of command because his rating is 5, his command rating is 5, and he's more than 5 hexes away. So we put a marker, out of command marker, on him. And this guy is not out of command because he's part of that formation. Got it. So we just did the initiative determination, and in a good stroke of luck, we rolled a tie, which allows us to look up the procedure for resolving ties.
So the audacity of the United Provinces is 1, Spain 0.
Right, so in a tie, it goes to the side with a higher audacity, which in this case is the United Provinces. Okay, so my partner just had the question of why have this activation system rather than just activating everything at once if you know that you're going to be able to activate everything by the end of the turn. And my impression is that it's like when we were playing Rebel Fury, the Civil War game, where we were alternating one counter at a time, if you remember. You're able to move everything pretty much, but the reason you want to go first is because by moving your stuff first, you can have an advantage. You know, you can maneuver before the other person is able to do whatever they want. So I think that's the reason you have these alternating activations, is by being able to activate more of your ships at, before your opponent, you have more control over the terms under which you engage.
Yeah, I think I only need a practical.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out. But I think that's normally what the rationale is. So to me, like, this is a great example of where you want to be able to activate sooner and more of your stuff. Like, we're not going to touch these guys. We're not going to do anything with them. But we definitely want this guy to get over here, right? And so imagine you had two ships here that were both out of command. You would want to be able to activate them more quickly to get them out of danger. And so I think that's where the formations come into play, is like by having a formation, you can get your guys out of danger.
Oh, that's right, they're all facing that way. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what the UP has, the United Provinces have the initiative, and what we're thinking is we're not going to move in these guys with to do anything, because there's nothing in range to shoot at. So
we're going to activate him.
The only thing to move is this guy,
right,
to get him out of danger.
Okay, so he gets activated.
So apparently, if the ship is out of command, that actually may limit what you can do. It makes it less likely that you may be able to achieve what you want.
You can't end a turn next to an enemy ship.
Okay. And so it says you have to roll a die.
And I'm not sure you can fire either.
Well, it says you have to roll a die and compare it to the fleet's audacity rating, deducting the fleet admiral's command quality if he is not dead or captured. Fleet admiral's command. Okay. If the result is less than or equal to the audacity, the ship may function as if it were in command. Okay, so you want a lower roll.
Okay, so it's a dice.
The dice roll minus the
command rating of 5.
the fleet commander's rating. Yeah.
So we need a 1.
Okay.
3. So he can't operate normal.
Right, because the audacity is 1.
But
So
he can
8
still
minus
do stuff.
3. 8 minus 5 is 3. 3 is greater than 1. Right. The function, so it may operate as if it's command. If it fails, it may not end its move adjacent to an enemy ship, or fire when activated, unless it is activated when adjacent to an enemy ship. Okay. Out of command ships may always fire defensively. Okay, so we can move. We can do the move we wanted to do.
Just can't.
Yeah, and they're out of range anyway, so it's not going to matter.
Okay, so you can move. So with the wind going that way, he's reaching
Because
he's going this way.
right. So if I look at this graph, the wind's going that way. He's this one. He's reaching. Yeah.
Yep.
So he's got 5 movement
5
points.
movement points.
So now we have to look at the rules for turning,
Well,
where there's a whole set of rules for that.
okay, so it'll be on the full sails. We'll just be on plain sails.
Oh, when do we declare the whether full or?
I think it's the start of the turn.
It doesn't. It's interesting. It doesn't have that on here as far as I can tell.
It says at the end of your turn you decide whether you're full sails or no sails.
Right, but it doesn't have a step here. I would think it would have a step here.
It does say it in the movement thing.
Sure, yeah. Just as a reminder, though. So the thing that I was just wanted to make a video about is that because this ship is right next to the shoal, it cannot turn with the wind behind it, which would make it safer.
But it'll run aground.
Right. Yeah. Right. So that's not a realistic option. So we're going to have to turn the ship to the right, which is going to turn it. Right now, it's facing this way. It's facing this way. We're going to have to turn it that way, and once it's facing
turning costs
into the wind, it's going to be kind of stuck.
turning costs.
Okay, so we were just trying to figure out the procedure for like when you determine whether you're at full sails or not, and it says at the end of its movement or at the beginning of the scenario. However, my partner pointed out that because these ships all start anchored, you can't really. I mean, it's common. It would be common sense that you can't be anchored and at full sails at the same time. So, although I didn't find the section in the rules that says that, but I'm sure that it does say that.
Probably there somewhere. Yeah, we just haven't found it yet.
So we're going. So during this activation, we're raising anchor. So we're going to remove that marker, and then
we've got plain sails.
I guess does that mean that he can't raise full sails until the next activation?
At the end of the turn, he would determine.
Right, the next turn.
Yeah.
Okay. So
not the end of this turn.
at the end.
because that's what it says.
It's at the end of his movement.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean.
Right. So he's going to have to wait until the next turn to take the advantage of full
We
sails.
don't want full sails.
If he wanted.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Got it. Yeah. I'm just trying to understand like the sequence of
What
play.
the options are, yeah.
Yeah. Like when do you do things?
Yes, yeah.
Right. Okay. So my partner pointed out that turning is more expensive when you are at full sails. So we don't, even if we could choose, we would not want to be at full sails when turning. And you just look at this chart and you can see what the cost is or how many movement points you have. Is it? Right.
So we've got 5 movement points at reaching. Because of the weather is calm, that brings us down to 4.
Right.
There's no damage to the ships yet. So if we're going from reaching to beating, because we're going to be turning into the wind, it'll cost us 2 movement points to move the 1 hex.
So it's 5 minus 2? Or 5 minus 3?
4 minus 2.
4 minus, why is it 4?
5 minus 1
Is
minus
4
2.
minus, all right, okay, got it. Yeah.
That's for that movement. So if we go, what did I say? 4 minus.
So he has 2 movement points. 1.
Is that right?
So you can't do 2 turns in one activation,
I don't
right?
think you can do that in 1 hex.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. I don't think.
Yeah,
so.
that makes sense. I mean, these big boats,
Yeah,
right? They don't turn on a dime.
Yeah.
They're not Formula One cars. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Our first turn.
You could turn at anchor.
Really?
Before you moved, yeah.
It says that?
Yeah, but you wouldn't move. You'd spin at anchor.
Well, I mean, that might be better.
Well,
Where does it say that you can do that?
We want some movement because we want to get in closer to the battery.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's good to know that you can do that.
Yeah, I don't remember the specifics of it, but I do remember you can
Here we go.
rotate.
Swivel? No, this is firing.
Yeah, no.
Okay, well, I'll look it up. I'll look it up later. Okay, we found the section on turning at anchor, rotating at anchor. So there's the rule for that. So the rule had said that you could turn one hex side per turn, beginning on the turn after they drop anchor. So I think so basically the first turn this guy could have turned 1 hex side, but my partner said that it's no worries because by being in this particular position, he's in a better position to do a broadside. What's it? Is it a broadside? There's a term for when you're shooting into the top side, the front. Raking, right.
Yeah, that's it. When you cross the T.
Right, crossing the T.
raking,
Right,
yeah.
that was it. Yeah. So okay. Okay. Right.
Okay. So if he spins around to there somewhere, then he's firing arc.
That's okay.
So where was he there? Yeah. So he's there at.
So you're thinking more about positioning him to be able to shoot. You're not concerned as much about getting him over here.
Well, no. I mean, what we're doing. I mean, he can keep. He's going to be beating into the wind now, so he's only going to have. I think he's only going to be able to move 1 or 2 hexes anyway. So it's going to take a turn to get there, and then another turn to get. So it's 2 or 3 turns.
I see. So he didn't start beating into the wind, right?
No, he was actually.
What's the term?
Well, the run. Hang on. Where's the?
Was it reaching? No.
Yeah, he was reaching.
Yeah, he was reaching.
And
Okay.
and then he
so he
turned-
could not have done the tacking maneuver in any
No,
case.
no, I don't
But he could do it the next turn. He could attempt the tacking maneuver next turn.
Now that he's there.
And I think the goal of the tacking maneuver is if you're facing this way, the wind. What you're trying to avoid is facing directly into the wind. So the goal is you're trying to swing across the dead zone where you're facing into the wind and face that way.
Well, in this current circumstances, I don't think it matters for the defender to end up in irons. Because that's
Sure,
not,
but I'm just trying to understand what
anchor.
I'm just trying to understand what tacking is and like how it would work.
Well, like I said, I think it's more relative to larger ships anyway.
Well, I think it applies to any ship, right?
Well, it applies to any ship, but the
just saying, like, if we
smaller
could-
ships only have that much. A larger ship has that much. It's got a wider broadside.
But how does that affect the in irons? Because what the goal of tacking is to avoid ending up in irons.
No, that's one of the risks of tacking is that you could end up in irons.
Well, I mean, I thought the
don't take
goal of tacking is you're trying to pass through.
No, the tacking is just a
Right, but you're swinging the ship through the position in which it would be in irons. So that's my understanding of the maneuver. And if the maneuver fails, then you end up in irons. But what you're trying to, the reason you would do it, like in this situation is a good example.
What I'm saying is sometimes you will do it to be in irons.
Well, if you
Because
want,
that's the facing you want.
well, no, but I'm saying if you wanted to be in irons, you could just turn into irons.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Right, but I'm saying that to understand the tacking, the reason you would do tacking, it would be in a situation like this where you're facing 60 degrees into the wind, and your goal is to be facing 60 degrees into the wind in the other direction. So like this ship wants to go, suppose this ship wants to go over here, you would do the tacking maneuver to try to, as quickly as possible, pass through the orientation in which you would be in irons, and then then you can start going this way.
Yes.
Right. So that's what I'm trying to understand. Yeah. So we'll deal with that when it comes.
Yeah.
So we're doing the second activation for this side, the Spanish, and we're activating the entire formation. We have the wind facing that way. We looked at the diagram and we saw that they are beating into the wind, and so they get 2 movement points. And the question is, what are we going to do? And I think the plan is to try to get closer and then swing to the right so that we can take
Well, if we moved 1,
across the T of this ship.
add 2 and turn, that would give us a range of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we could turn, and that would be inside our arc.
Right. Yeah.
For that ship.
That sounds fine to me.
All right. So if we do 1, and that's.
And what's the?
Hang on. No, we don't have enough move to do that. We have to expend 1 movement point to go forward. We only have 2.
Oh, and how much does it cost additional movement points to turn?
Yeah.
Cost 2 movement points?
Yeah, it's from, what are we doing? We're beating.
So we're beating, we have 2 with flame sails, but we're at full sail, so we have 3.
-1 for the weather.
Right, so that was 2.
2.
That's the cost.
No, that's the movement. 2. Yeah, 3 -1 is 2.
So you have to turn from your original. How does that work? You can.
Yeah, you have to expend 1 movement point before you can turn. So we move forward 1.
Oh.
So that uses 1 of our points.
And then you have to pay 2 more?
We only have 2 points.
Wait, I don't understand. I'm still confused. This is how many movement points you have, or is this the cost?
Well, I'm thinking. No, that's how many we have. So we're at full sails, and we're beating.
So we have 3.
So we have 3, but we lose 1 for the weather.
Okay.
So we've got 2.
We have 2.
We have to use.
Oh, and this is the turning cost here.
Yeah. We have to use 1 point before we can turn. So we only have 1 point to move with.
Well, that doesn't make sense to me, because then how do you ever turn that direction?
Well, because we're beating, that's the issue.
Right, but what you're saying to me is, if you're beating, because it's calm. So I mean, well, I guess there's a maneuver where you can turn in place, right?
Well, that's what we'll have to figure out. How to move when you're beating. How to turn when you're beating.
I have to look that up. Yeah. Okay, so I read this section on wearing, which is turning, I guess the normal way you would turn, and all it says is that normally when you move into a new hex, you can turn 1 hex side, and it doesn't cost anything. However, you cannot turn to face in irons, so you can't turn directly into the wind. You have to use the tacking maneuver if you want to, move your bow across the wind direction when it's facing into you. So you have to use the tacking maneuver. But otherwise, you can normally turn for each hex you enter 1 hex side without paying any extra movement points. However, another exception, if you are turning from reaching to running, you have to pay 1 extra movement point, which is this example. You have to pay 1 additional one. If you are reaching to beating, you have to pay 2 additional movement points. So that's this example. But otherwise, you can see here, any other changes do not cost movement points. So in our example here, they start out beating.
Yep.
So they can turn without it paying an additional movement point. And it's for every hex that they enter. So even when they enter the first hex, they can turn. Or they could wait until the second hex and then turn.
So we could move forward one, turn for free.
Well, why not just go 2 and then turn? So you're closer. You turn in the hex that you entered.
Turn in that hex there. Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
And so now you're, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's, I don't know if that's good or not.
Well, I'm assuming the closer we get, the better, depending on what the combat chart tells us.
Right. Okay, so we are moving all of the ships in the same direction, 2 hexes, and then turning them all to face.
I'm not sure that we
same
do
way.
want to turn them all.
Yeah, I guess as long as they're close.
I'm thinking if we leave,
Yeah.
that was the issue.
Yeah,
right there.
let them get closer.
Let him keep coming in.
Let them keep
then
coming,
he-
and they'll be within 4 hexes. So, we'll be.
Yep.
They'll be in that. It's the command activation that it said, rather than the formation. This one, command activation. So they only need to be within the command radius, and they can be activated. So that's interesting. Interesting
okay.
to see that.
And we can still move him, even if he's out of command.
Yes. You just have
Which
to wait.
he will be. Yeah. We have to move him separately, but we'll
Right.
still be able to get him over there, back into the formation.
But I think by doing this particular maneuver, he might. Did you move him already?
Yes.
So he's still not within the.
No,
range.
they'll
Okay.
be- because they're
That's
all
fine.
relative.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
That's fine.
yeah.
Okay. So this is our first time.
Theoretically, we could do that with a couple of the other ships as well if we wanted to bring.
Yeah,
the
right. That's what I was
formation
thinking.
closer.
Just have them all come in at the same distance.
The only thing is if any that don't turn now with him won't be in the formation with him, so they have
Well,
to be activated separately.
That's what I was saying. I was pointing at the command activation option. So this is the option where, as long as they are within the radius,
Yeah, so
you can activate them.
Here's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he can still activate all of them even if they're not in formation.
Right. Oh wait, hold on a second. This is not saying what I thought it was saying. Group commands. Sorry, I was using the wrong term.
Yeah.
It's group commands.
So do you want to leave that one heading straight
Yes.
and only turn the other 4?
Right. So you can, as a single activation, you can activate all ships within the range of the commander.
Yes.
Got it. But if you do it that way,
So that's the difference
You can't
between a group
do the
command or
formation.
formation command. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. Any
Right.
ship that was outside of his command.
right. So if you had a ship, suppose you had this ship, it's outside of the range.
Yep.
It's facing. Suppose it was facing the same way as the commander, right?
Then he'd be a formation. But
It
because
would.
he's-
He could be activated with the formate, but he
Yeah,
could
yeah.
not because he's not within 4 of one that's in the same form. Is the formation?
He is. Well, yeah. That's right. Because
They have to be facing the same direction.
that's right. Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
So these guys can no longer be activated as part of a formation activation.
Well, those guys.
Oh no, yes they can because they're facing the same way.
But he can't.
Right. If he was facing this way still, and these guys were facing that way, then they
Yeah,
could not.
then-
And then this one would be out
And
of
he'd
formation.
be out of range. Yeah. So we'd
Even
end up
though
we'd
he's
end up
within-
with
right.
him. No commander for them, so that wouldn't be a formation.
Well, they could be activated with a group activation, group command.
Yeah,
But they could not. If the commander was facing this way,
Then he couldn't.
they could be activated with a
Yeah.
group command, but they could not be activated with
As a
a
formation.
formation
Yeah.
command. Right. Okay, got it. This is helpful. Very helpful.
Yeah. What if we get to use firing versus small ships?
Right. So we were just figuring out the line of sight rules, and what we determined was that because these are single hex ships, what you do is you just draw a line from the center of that ship to the center of your target, and as long as that line does not intersect anything, then you have line of sight. And I think in this case, if it did intersect, you would immediately go to no line of sight. Whereas if this was like a 2 hex ship, if one of the lines has an obstacle and the other one does not, then you can have something called partial line of sight. So this ship seems to have line of sight to this target. Okay, so we just had the question of whether when you do a group activation or a formation activation, do you move all of your ships before you resolve the fire of any of them? Or do you do one ship at a time within that group activation and move that first ship and shoot with it, and then move the second ship and then shoot with it? And from
My interpretation would be you have to move them all because you need to know the line of sight before that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the way this is laid out, it doesn't say like activate a ship and then within. I would expect this move and disengage to be with like indented underneath the activate. It would be. This would not be plural.
Well, it is plural. It's got it in brackets.
I know. I'm
right
saying.
there,
I'm
yeah.
saying. What I'm saying is, if you were activating one ship at a time.
Well, yeah, that's right. It's only one ship.
Well, okay. Sorry, I'm not being clear. I'm not being clear.
Yeah.
I'm saying, if within a formation activation.
Yeah.
If you were activating one of those ships,
Well, you've activated them all.
Sub-activated,
Well,
whatever.
no, you activate them all because
Well,
you've activated the group.
I understand that, but I'm saying
So
that
then you
it
move
uses
them.
a different term. It says, look, it says when a ship is activated as
Yeah.
part of a command activation.
Yeah.
So to me, it wasn't clear. Sometimes in these games, you activate all of the ships and you have to resolve one ship at a time, like one unit at a time, right? So they'll say something like, a unit must expend all of its movement points before any other unit can, and you cannot. You know what I mean?
I think what they're saying is you move and shoot everyone in that group before the next player can do his activation. So it's probably up to you.
Well, no, I
you
understand that.
No, let me finish. Because you get to choose when in your movement you shoot.
I don't think you do.
I think you do, because I think you expend one movement point.
Oh, you can shoot as part of your movement phase.
Well,
as part of your movement.
It is part of it, because you have to expend a movement point before you can shoot. So you would move. Let's say we know that.
So it's in any order.
I think so. I think you get to choose the order
Okay.
because then you can line up your ships for your line of sight.
Right.
You know. So
Okay, that's perfect. Okay, so yeah, so
Yeah, I think-
this
I think-
sequence
I
of
think
plays is a little bit
I
confusing.
think within the group, you can do it in any order you want.
Yeah, to me, this sequence of play is not worded is not ordered properly.
Well,
because it makes it look like moving is a different subphase from disengage from shooting.
It's got moving and firing in the same step.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you're right. The way it had it on
But
here.
what it made clear to me.
This is the part that was
Yeah,
confusing.
yeah. Yeah, that gives you a
Move
bit
and
more
okay, so
depth.
it's move and fire, and these are modifiers. These are not steps.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And this is the process. So these are not right. So
That's the
these are not
process of the
steps
fire.
that you have to follow in a particular order. This is just a reference.
Well, they kind of are, because you have to expend at least one movement point before you can fire.
Yeah, but you don't have that
all of
understanding
it.
from reading this.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I get it. So okay. So it's movement and firing is part of the same process.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, that's clear.
4.
So we're just noticing now that because we're working with gunboats in this scenario, they seem to only have. Well, what does 0 mean?
That's what I'm not sure.
Maybe it means you have to roll a 0. Oh, there are.
Modifiers.
There are modifiers. Okay.
Yeah, we need to
Well, that's modifiers to the firepower, not the range. I think the range. I think 0 means that it's within range, but its base firepower is 0.
Yeah.
And then if it's the dash, then it's not even within range.
think so, yeah.
And so you cannot apply any modifiers. So we're realizing that this ship is actually not within shooting range of that ship, and that ship is also not within shooting range of this ship.
So he couldn't declare fire, which means he doesn't get interrupt the defensive fire.
Well, he could have done defensive fire when he moved into that hex, but he's not within range. It's if you move into a hex or if you turn,
But it's his movement at the moment.
even if it's their movement, at the moment that he moves, it's just like ASL. At the moment that he moves into a new hex or
Yeah, yeah,
turns,
yeah. I understand.
he can declare defensive
Yeah,
fire.
but because he couldn't declare the attack, then I can't declare interrupted.
I know, but what I said was that at the moment that he, because this is all part of the same process.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying that we don't have to worry about any of it because it never happened.
Yeah, right. Well, just understand the process. So to me, then it means that we should adjust these movements to be facing this way so they get closer. I don't remember why we turned these ones. We wanted these ones to keep going this way, right?
Well, because we thought they had longer range than they did.
Well, no. I mean, even if they had this range that we thought they
We
had.
wanted to keep them in formation, so they could be activated as a formation.
Well, no, because we were going to do the group commands next time because they're going to be within.
Depending on which option we were going to run with. That's what we're trying
Well,
to work
as
out.
long as they're within the command radius, they can just do the group command.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I think all of these want to be facing this way, basically. That's the, and then I think we're going to want to turn him right here. Turn him like there, and then just do loops here.
Well, I think we call it an error and we keep going as it is.
No, I mean, they're going to just be turning and doing nothing. I would adjust it, but I mean, it's not a big deal to me.
No, you're right. We'll just adjust.
I think it's just it'll be less interesting if they're just turning in a circle. Can you imagine? They turn too soon and we forgot we can't shoot from this far away. That's hilarious. Okay, so then that's their activation.
Yep.
And then we already activated.
Well, that's.
Do we have markers to indicate that they've been activated already?
Well, we activated him, and then this side activated that group, that formation. Now this side gets to activate.
Yeah, I understand that, but we don't have any markers to indicate
no.
that they've been activated. That's interesting. That could be annoying. Yeah, we'll have to use something else to indicate that if we don't forget. Okay, so we were still trying to figure out what could shoot at what, and we realized we have this battery, and we were wondering if maybe the battery could shoot at this guy. So then we were trying to look up the rules for the batteries, and we realized it was actually not quite clear what those things at the bottom meant. And from looking at the rules, it seems that the first thing is the rating of the battery, and the second thing is its whole strength. And that means that when you shoot at it, I guess you use this column, whatever your, it's a G, right? So was a G a small vessel?
That was for the.
Is there a different one for shooting against a...
That was for figuring out the firepower determination is a G. And the,
Right, but which of those two tables do you roll on?
well, you're firing versus small vessels.
So it's considered a G like a small vessel. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so you would roll on this table and then you use the H column to figure out whether it was a hit or not. Okay, got it. But we still have to figure out whether this thing is in range. Oh, because it's a G.
Yeah, it's only got a range of 5.
Right, it's got the normal, you use this to determine the range, so you look at this row, and it's got a range of 5. So that's how you know.
Well, hang on. So you change from that facing to that facing.
Right, but then now you have, if on the next turn they come in, you're not going to be...
Can't shoot,
You
yeah.
can't do anything.
Yeah.
So I just want to make a video about this.
Yep.
So we have an interesting dilemma here where right now this ship can't shoot at anything around here. So that would be an incentive for these guys to stay outside of the range of that guy.
He's got virtually no range anyway.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Plenty of transport.
Well, okay. So just as a hypothetical, suppose he did. So right now he has this cone of fire or arc of fire.
The same deal with this one as well.
Right. If we wanted him to be able to shoot more this way, we could turn him like this, and then he could shoot like that. The problem with that is that now he's facing into the shoal, and so that's a much more dangerous situation for him to be
The
in.
alternative is to turn him that
Right.
way.
Well, the alternative is to ideally get him into this situation.
Yeah.
The downside of this is that you have to take 2 turns to do that. So the first turn you have to turn like this, and then the second turn you can turn like that. However, the problem is, if you turn like this, now you have very little that you don't have this arc of fire here really. You have this, what's it called?
The rake line.
The rake line, yeah, but that's going to be a difficult target to hit.
It's only going to go to about there.
Right, and you have to roll on it. So those are the kinds of dilemmas that you have to deal with in this game, which is it's really interesting because you don't see anything like this in other, like in infantry combat. It's a totally different way of thinking. Okay, so what I read was that the reason it's so dangerous to get shot from the front is because when you get shot from the front, the cannonball goes through the length of the ship,
I
and so it
understand
does
that.
way more damage.
I
and so,
understand that.
and so raking fire refers to fire that is going down the length of the ship.
Okay, all right. Now I understand what you meant.
Right.
Okay.
So this guy is going to do a broadside, and it will be raking fire because it's
Okay.
right.
All right.
So at the moment that he enters this hex,
Yep.
this guy can either choose to do defensive fire immediately or wait to see
I'd wait till it gets closer.
Right. So
That's
if
what I'm
we,
saying.
since we know what the Spanish are going to do, I mean, well, we don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
We got to figure it out.
So he's going to move to there. That's us as the Spanish. We know he's going to do that. As
Well, actually, I have a question.
Okay.
If he moves just one movement,
no,
what-
we haven't finished the move. That's your first movement point.
right. Well, hold on. Let me finish.
No, let me finish. You're saying that he could declare fire when he moves to there.
Well, that's my question.
Yeah.
Is when he enters that hex, is he able to immediately turn, or does he get a chance to do raking fire before that guy turns? I think he
Well,
does. I think he can turn immediately.
I think the moment you move to there, he can fire. I haven't read the defensive fire. I've only read the.
It says at the moment that you expend a movement point.
Right. Okay. So the
But I-
moment you move into that square,
Well, but the question is, if
you've
so,
expended a movement.
well, so the question is, if this ship wanted to turn
Yes.
in that hex
Yes.
as it entered that hex,
Yes.
does the raking fire happen?
That's what
While
I'm
it's-
saying. I've only read the interrupted defensive fire section. I haven't read the defensive fire
Right.
section.
Well-
Because under this one, you would declare defensive fire when he selects a target.
Yeah, I know
he
that.
hasn't done that yet because he's still moving.
Right, I'm talking about something totally different.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so-
I haven't read those.
Right.
rules.
So my guess is that what would happen is that he is able to turn first.
And I would say no, because that's spending a second movement point.
I don't think it is. Is you can turn for free. Right? You can turn for free.
Yeah, under those. Yeah. But he spent a point, and the minute he spends it, that's why I haven't read the defensive fire rules yet.
I think the spending of the point. Well, yeah, that's a good question.
That allows him to fire. I don't know when that allows him to fire.
Yeah, we're gonna have to look this up. But this is an interesting edge case or situation to figure out. Okay, so the question we had was how we're in a situation where this ship is out of range of this ship. When he enters this hex, he will be within range of this gunboat. We intend to move into this hex and turn so that the ship is now facing this way. So currently the ship is facing this way. We're going to turn it so the ship is facing this way. So the question is, when this ship enters this hex, does it both enter the hex and turn at the same time? Or does it enter the hex, this ship gets to try to attempt raking fire first, and then you can turn the ship. So to me, it's not clear in the rules. I do think it makes more sense from what the rules say that you first move into this hex, then he gets the chance to do the shot, and then after the shot, then this ship can then turn in another direction.
It's defensive fire, so he would get to choose whether he shoots before or after your turn.
To me, it depends on the rules. The rules could say it either way, but I think this is what I would say. Your interpretation makes more sense because there's this other rule that says sometimes you have to pay to turn.
Yeah.
So to me, if my initial interpretation was correct, where you both move and turn at the same time, you would have to. Well,
Sailing ships in this era don't have that kind of.
I guess you can pay more than one movement point at a time. To me, it's not clear. I'm going to have to ask on the forums because either interpretation makes sense to me.
Well, I think you have to pay the cost of crossing the border of the hex before you pay the cost of turning.
I think, or is it you pay them all at once? I think you pay them all at once.
Well, if you can't cross the line and spend that movement point, then you don't have any movement points left to turn if you need them.
I don't understand. Sorry.
In some cases, you need movement points to turn. In other cases, you don't. Correct?
Yes.
You always need a movement point to move.
Yes.
So you have to move You have to be able to move before you can turn.
You're right. Okay.
Okay. Which means one follows the other.
Not necessarily.
That's what I'm saying. It's one follows the
Well,
other.
let's look at.
No, because if the points are required and you don't have enough points to turn, then you don't.
But you can still move forward.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So
you move forward, then you turn.
Well,
because you can't turn without moving. You can't unless you're anchored. You can't turn without moving.
Right, but if you look at
so you must move before you can turn. We're not talking about motorboats. We're talking about sailboats.
to me, it's not clear. Like it could be paid as one, or it could be what you're. Well, let me say this: your interpretation is a valid interpretation.
I want to move on.
Sure,
okay?
let's move on. Let's move on. To me, it's not clear. It's not defined. Okay, so this was a good. Our first fire.
That's why I wanted to get to this step too.
Yeah, this is an important step. Yeah, this is an important step. So we just resolved our first cannon shot, and it was interesting. So let's go through the procedure one more time quickly. So the way you do this is you got the rate of this ship is a G. It's a gunboat. The range is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you go to this table. You got a gunboat at range 5. His base firepower is 0. Now, first, before you take that number, you have to first figure out if you're going to be adjusted up or down in these rows. And to do that, you look at these relative rate modifiers. And so if you get a +1, that moves you down, which makes you more dangerous, presumably. Or no.
Yeah.
Maybe a +1 moves you up. Yeah, +1 is bad. So +1 moves you up, which is bad. -1. Oh, these are all +1. Yeah. So if you're on fire. Suppose you're a first-rate ship. If you're on fire, you're a second-rate ship now. Got that? Yeah. So then once you figure out the appropriate row, in our case, the row is still G.
Actually, that's yeah.
Yeah. So then you use this. You take this number 0, and then you apply these modifiers. So in our case, we have an audacity of 1. So our base firepower went from 0 to 1. And I think none of the rest of these applied.
No.
Right, so, and it says right here, find the relative rate row, modify the rate, find the firepower, and then modify the firepower. Got it. So, then what we did was we rolled
Actually,
on...
we probably could have used that modifier as well.
Oh, and we never applied the rake modifier.
I don't think we got it. I think we had to make a dice roll and didn't get it.
Oh, did we roll for that? It's a rake roll is made immediately after selecting a target type. A rake results from a modified die roll of 4 or less. Modifications of the die roll are as follows. -, for the fleet audacity, + for the range. Okay, so first we roll a die. We get a 5. We now add the range in hexes. That's 10.
5, yep, 10, yep.
We subtract the audacity, so we subtract 1, so we're at 9.
And the commander's quality.
There's no available commander, right? Because he's out of command. Oh, he's in command.
He's in command, yeah.
The command is what?
5.
5. So we subtract 5 from 9, we're down to 4. -2 if the firing ship is crossing the stern rake line. No. So presumably it's like easier to penetrate the hull if you're shooting
from the back.
Right.
Cause more damage because you can damage the steering as well.
Oh yeah, and I was thinking like the front of the hull is maybe more like streamlined, so it's maybe like bounces off.
And the captain's more likely to be standing in the back as well.
Well, I mean the back of the ship is flat, right?
Yeah.
And the front of the ship is much more.
You do more damage at the back.
Yeah, right. Okay, so we had a 4, and I think it's if you get a 4 or less, so we did get this roll.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So we didn't do it. Yeah.
So all hull damage resulting from a rake is increased.
We didn't hit anyway, I don't think.
Partial rakes. Okay. Well, hold on. This to me says that if he was to be, suppose he was going to shoot to do a rake. To me, this means that you can have another ship shoot at this ship as a defensive.
Against the rake.
Yeah, because it says defensive fire versus rakes. Only a moving vessel may perform a rake. A vessel defending from a rake may fire a full broadside if both hexes of an attacking vessel fall within the defender's broadside arc. Well, no, I don't.
Well, you're going to do that anyway.
Otherwise, a partial broadside is fired. An active ship crossing over another ship is. Okay, to me this is not clear if it's that this ship is allowed to fire or if it's that any ship is
No,
allowed.
it's just the activated ship, I think.
Well, no, because it's defensive fire versus rakes.
A vessel defending from a rake may fire.
Right, but is that
That's that one.
is it only that one or any?
Well, they're not defending if they're not getting shot at.
Well, they might.
No, they're not.
Okay,
No.
I mean, yeah, it's okay. It's
No,
to
you're
me,
really-
it's well, I
Oh
mean,
no, that's getting really big.
well, no, I mean,
no, it's very clear.
No, it's like-
that is very clear.
okay, fine.
If a
To me,
ship
it's-
isn't being attacked, it's not the defending ship.
Okay, well, it could be a vessel defending.
No, no, it says the defending ship.
It doesn't say the, it says a. Okay, well, yeah, I agree. I agree. Your interpretation makes more sense, but I think it could be read either way. Okay, so once you get the roll,
So if we had a hit, that was it was a raking shot, but he missed. So it
well,
doesn't matter.
oh, are you sure?
Yeah, because we only rolled a 1.
Right.
Well, no, it was a modified 3 or something. Yeah, raking doesn't affect the hit, the chance to hit. It affects the damage.
The damage done. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Right. So, so we should have rolled on the rake table, and we would have succeeded at the rake roll, and then we got our base firepower of 1, and then what we do is we roll on this table. We have to declare whether we're aiming for the rigging or the hull.
I think it was that one.
If we
No, it was
are
1. Yeah, it was that one there.
right, so this was the modified firepower. So we were on this column. You roll a d10, and then you apply these modifiers. So if we're aiming at the rigging, in our case, we were firing with the wind because our ship was yes. Our ship is facing this way. The wind is going this way.
Yeah, well coming in.
So
would be-
the wind is traveling with the cannonballs, and the effect of what we decided was that when the wind is blowing this way, it's pushing the ship over to lean over, so that the cannons are aiming downward into the water, into the ocean. So that makes it more difficult to hit, and that explains why, if you're firing with the wind, you have a minus modifier, which on this table is bad. And then the other modifier was firing in calm conditions. Because we are in calm conditions, that's a -2.
and full size from top.
Right, okay, yes. So we got a plus. Right, we got a +2 if the target is at full sail. Because and the rationale there was that if it's at full sail, it's easier to hit the rigging. And then we get a -2 if it's calm. And the rationale we came up with that is that if it's calm, the sails are not being puffed out as much, and so it's a smaller target to hit. And basically the idea is that you're not just aiming for the wooden mast, you're also aiming for any ropes, and also like the canvas used for the sail itself. So that was I told him that I had the wrong conception that you're only aiming for the wooden mast, and that is not apparently the case. And so that explains why calm conditions give a minus modifier, which again is bad on this table. Right, so this one we're not applying. We're not doing hulls. Other modifiers, we're not anchored. It's not a battery. We are firing outside the broadside arc.
No, we're not.
No. Oh, no, we're not. No, we're not. We're in our own. Right, we are in our own broadside arc. Okay, got it. Yeah. So that is the process for resolving combat.
Should we finish moving?
Yeah, we got to finish. We're only at, what is this? Turn 3. Yeah.
No, finish moving.
Oh, so now we can turn him.
Yeah,
We can finally
yeah.
turn him. Okay, let's do it.
And move one more.
Right. He
Because
has
I think he only moved 1.
2 movement points. Is that right?
Yeah, we figured out he could move
Okay,
2
yeah.
because
Good.
he could turn for free.
Right. Well, do you want to fire first with him?
Well, yeah, okay. So turn, then fire, then move.
I think that's how you. I think you can do it like that.
Well,
yeah.
I think we're probably better off just moving anyway before we fire,
Sure.
purely from the point of view that it puts us 1 hex further away from everybody else.
Okay.
Because the range isn't going to change. 1,
Sure.
2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
Quick note about this. Okay, so I just had the question: if this ship has just moved and expended a movement point, and this ship is now eligible for defensive fire, can it select any target that it wants within range, or does it have to shoot at the unit that has expended the movement point? And what we have decided is that the rules seem to suggest that you have to shoot The only eligible target is the unit that has expended a movement point. So it's good to know. And the other thing is we're keeping these counters off to the side because it's getting too difficult to check the numbers on the ship. And I don't know if I made a video about this, but we did a rigging hit because this guy got shot by the United, what is it called? United Provinces. Okay. So we just did our first, just for future reference, so this is the first time we're resolving a movement this way. And so we just looked at this table, the movement table. He is reaching, he's at plain sails, so his base movement points is 5, and the weather effects is calm, that's -1, so he's got 4 movement points, and none of the rest of these apply. He has 1 rigging hit on him, but it's -1 for every 3 rigging hits, so this does not yet have any effect.
That was your second point
Yeah,
there?
so we're doing the first turn from this direction that way, and I misread the chart that explains how many movement points you have to pay to turn, because I said, okay, well, he's reaching right now because the wind is going this way and he's going this way, so he's reaching and he's turning to the starboard. So I looked at this and I said, okay, well, in this diagram he's reaching and he's turning to starboard and he's going to pay 2 movement points to do that. And my partner pointed out that actually the way you have to read this is, are you going from reaching to running, or are you going from reaching to beating? And in our case, the wind is such that when you turn to starboard, you're now going with the wind, directly with the wind. And so that is going from reaching to running, which is this one. So you only pay 1 movement point to do that. So that is potentially confusing for people. You would also, right.
Change the speed as well.
Right, so my partner just pointed out that, interestingly, in this game, it seems that when you're rolling for the change in the weather, the only thing that can change is the direction of the wind. The power of the wind, whether it's calm, normal, or breezy, that cannot change within a scenario, which I think we both...
Maybe in some scenarios it does.
In what?
Maybe in some scenarios it does. They might go at
Well,
10.
I mean, they could conceivably have a special rule, but there's no table for it.
No, that's what I'm saying. There might be special scenario conditions where they say on turn 10.
Oh,
it
right.
changes from
Right, okay, so it could be
calm to
hard-coded.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
yeah, okay, got it. Okay, we just did our first tacking maneuver for this ship. It was originally facing this way, and we consulted the section in the rule book that talks about how you do it, and it's really simple. For a single hex ship, all you do is you rotate it into the wind. Remember, the wind is facing this way. You then roll on this tacking table, and where is it? This one. You roll on this one, and if you get anything other than 0 or less, you adjust these things. We didn't have any of these modifiers apply. If you get anything other than a 0, you continue rotating the ship so that it's beating in the other direction. Remember, it was beating in this way, and now it's going to be beating in this way. And you get the given number of movement points that are mentioned on the table. So we rolled a 5, so we have 1 movement point. And I guess we started over here, and then how did we do this? We started here, rotated here. Where was it? Were we here?
I don't know.
Oh God. Oh, let's say it was something like this.
He was in the same line as the wind, and he ended up beating that way.
Okay.
But yeah,
cool.
I think that's where it was. Actually.
Okay, cool. So yeah, very simple maneuver procedure. I was worried it would be more complicated. So I just wanted to make a video. We keep forgetting, because it's not on the sequence of play.
You keep forgetting.
Okay, yes, that's right. I keep forgetting, because it's not on the sequence of play, that at the end of the turn, you have to decide whether you want your ships... Is it the end of the turn or it's the end of their movement?
End of your movement.
Right. At the end of their movement, you have to decide if you want the ships to be in full sails or not.
Yeah.
And we keep... Well, we kind of both keep forgetting if we're doing it at the end of the turn and not the end of the movement.
I did say something at the end of your movement.
Right. Well, you remember. You have remembered. Yeah. Right. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna think about that now. But it would be better, because it's such an important step. It would be better to have it on the sequence of play, in my opinion. Okay. So I misspoke before. I didn't realize that this particular game, Under the Southern Cross, has its own table for weather changes. wind adjustments, and it actually says in the playbook as a special rule that when you roll for wind changes, you roll for both the direction and the force. And so you use this table for the force. So what happens is you roll once. If you get a 0, then you roll 2 more times. The first time you roll, you're rolling for a wind direction change. And then the second time you roll, you're rolling for a wind force change. So we had not rolled any 0s so far, so we didn't make any mistakes, but for future reference, I didn't want to have it incorrect in the video. Okay, so we just had an extended discussion about what the proper tactics are in this scenario. I made the remark earlier on that the analogy that comes to my mind is the Germans attacking the bombers in World War II, where they would do these loops on the outermost bomber to take it out, and then just work in on the closer the edges of the bomber formation. And that was kind of what we did with this first loop here. But the problem is that the turns, we don't have a lot of turns to achieve our objectives. And so we don't have the time to do these repeated loops, gradually coming in and taking out each ship one at a time. So the next thing that was revealed to me, that I forgot, is that you can just go straight in on the same hex as the ship, as an enemy ship. So if that enemy ship was still parked there, you could come straight in on this row, and these ships are not within range. And so if those ships don't move, then these ships are going to be able to gang up on that one. If these ships do move to come out to defend that ship or participate, then we get bonus turns. For every ship of the UP that gets out of anchor, the Spanish get 2 bonus turns. So that looks to me like the advantage here. And then the last thing that we mentioned was that if they came in this way, they would have to turn to port to come back around, and
turn into the wind.
Right, you have to tack, and the tacking table has a modifier if you are within 3 hexes. And so basically the strategy we've arrived at is you want to come down this row, get 3 hexes away or more from the enemy ships, and then tack and turn around, and then do another, maybe come down this row and try to do broadsides, or maybe come in straight in here along this one and just go straight into them and try to destroy them before you get destroyed. And the other thing we discussed was that the victory conditions are a little bit, the victory conditions encourage extreme behavior by the Spanish, where the Spanish win if they basically destroy or surrender or whatever all of the UP ships. There is no consideration for the preservation of the Spanish ships in their victory conditions. So the Spanish can lose all of their ships and still win if they just get the UP ships to be disabled. So it encourages very aggressive behavior by the Spanish. And you were going to say something, sorry.
The counter to coming down here and attempting to pass through, if you don't destroy the target ship and it follows you and stays within 3 hexes, you can't turn.
Well, you can, but you just get a modifier.
Yeah. So that would account for in the actual historical scenario of the enemy ships being run aground.
Why is that?
Well, they couldn't turn.
They couldn't turn, but
that's what I'm saying.
But if they keep going straight, they're not going to run into the shoal.
No, they go off the map.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think the modifier is not extreme. It's just a -1. So to me, it's not so.
Well, until we try that scenario and see how.
Yeah, we'd have to see how it plays out. But that's our current understanding of the proper way to play this scenario. So we were discussing the strategy for the UP, and what we arrived at is that these guys are going to stay at anchor. If the Spanish come in along this hex row, which is out of range of them here, they're going to come out a little bit and try to pick off the last one in the line. And the other thing we were going to say was, or the other comment I made was that, to me, it seemed it's gamey that it has this rule that if they come out of anchor, the Spanish get more time to go after them. Because to me, this is modeling the amount of sunlight available, and so their decision to be at anchor or not does not affect the amount of sunlight. So, but again, it's a gamey thing, and it makes it more interesting. It makes a more interesting decision. Okay, so the current state of things is we had these ships coming, so the ships turned down here, and we were going to do a loop like this and try to come like this. But when we did our turn to starboard, we turned to starboard and we were facing directly into the shoal. So we decided, okay, well, we have to turn again. So we turned again to port, and we were facing that way. And so we started going up here, and we decided that this maneuver of turning to starboard, coming down here, turning to port, coming here, and then coming down this way, we were going to run out of time. So we decided we're going to go straight to this way, and we're going to turn to starboard when we get to this row, and come in and try to just do as much damage as we can. So that's what the state of things. We still have to tack some of these remaining ships. We decided that we don't have enough time to get all of the ships on this perfect row where they're going to be firing point blank. So some of the ships are point blank, some of them are not. And also, we are just at the point where this ship is advancing forward, and this ship has the option to do raking fire, or defensive fire. So this ship is going to be doing defensive fire, which will also be raking fire. Yeah, so that's the state of things. So these ships are going to turn, they're going to come in this way. We are very short of time. We don't think we're going to have enough time to... So it's turn 12 of 14. We don't think we're going to have enough time to kill everything. Yeah, so that's the state of things. Okay, in the funniest possible turn of events, we have 2 turns remaining. It's the beginning of turn 13 of 14. Our ships have all turned, the Spanish ships have all turned this way to come in and try to, they're not going to have enough time to get all of the UP ships, but they will be able to at least reach that one. So we were hoping to at least get hits on that one. So they're all facing this way. They're beating into the wind. The wind is facing this way. So in the most incredible stroke of bad luck, for the first time this game, we rolled a 0 on the wind change roll, which is the result that has you then change the wind direction and power. So this could be very bad. If the wind changes so that these guys are in irons, they're going to be dead in the water. If it changes so that they are reaching, that could be very good for us. If it becomes reaching and normal, that could be very good for us. So it's a big question of what's going to happen. But it was absolutely hilarious that on the very end, we were joking before that something like this could happen, and then it ended up happening. So very, very funny.
Current modifiers: current wind calm +1 makes it 4. Increase engaged, whatever that means.
Let's see. Decrease 1 level, no change. Engaged -1. Increase 1 level.
Check the rule book.
Yeah, what does that mean? Engaged. So we rolled I don't remember what it was on the wind.
3.
It was a 3 for the first one?
Plus, I don't know what the first
Yeah, the first one we rolled, I think it was a 0 or something like that. It was no change.
Yeah.
And then the wind force, we rolled a 3, modified by it being calm to a 4. And so we got this result, engaged -1, and I cannot find anything in the rules explaining what that means. So right now we're looking to see if we can find an explanation of what that means. Yeah, okay, let me do the video on that. Okay, so I looked on BGG in the forums, and I found a post by the designer Mike Nagel, and he said, just ignore this row. So he said this row should not be here. And then my partner pointed out that actually this row above it already says from 3 to 6, no change. So this 4 is redundant. So that makes it a little bit clear that this is an error. So I'll get a marker and cross that out. Yeah, okay, but that's what that is. So we just had our first shoot, the battery shot for the first time at this ship right here, because it just moved in within range, and we're just trying to figure out what the rules were for that. And you can see rule 4.6 talks about shore batteries. and basically you, what are they? Well, it says, you can just read it here.
I can fire through.
Yeah, you can fire through friendly ships. You get this DRMs for firing while anchored and firing outside the broadside arc, and you don't have any penalties from wind effects. So that's pretty much it. And he shot and he missed. And you also, because it's a G, you treat it as a gunboat for the purpose of this firepower determination table. Okay, so where we are is the battery shot at this
That was the transport. Did the damage.
and this guy also shot at the transport. And the transport got 2 hull hits. The number in the top right is its ability to withstand hull hits. So when it got 2, which you can see the other side also says 2 on it, you have to flip it over, and then I believe you maybe remove the hull hits, and we take this off, and this stays with this guy. It's a bit confusing. Put that there. Okay, so this guy has he's now flipped to his other side, and he can take 2 more hull hits. The difference being flipped is that you can see in the top left corner he has that dash where previously it was a T. So he can no longer shoot, because if you look at the what is it? Firepower determination table, T is the worst, and then you go above T and there's nothing. So he can't shoot. So that is the effect of losing your first side of the ship. So now he can still move. So I think you would still want to move him to get him away so that he doesn't. I think in other scenarios, I think you lose victory points for losing ships.
Yeah.
So you would want to move him out of danger, but he can't shoot anymore. But he still had to move forward. So we did the backing sails maneuver, which is that in his first hex, you pay 1 movement point and you can stay without going forward. But he still had to move 1 more movement point because he was beating. So he moved up 1 hex, and then he did a free turn to starboard, and now he's reaching. And so now we're going to handle the next ship, and we still have the other ships. But this is the final turn 14 to 14, so it has not gone well for the Spanish, but it was a good learning experience for us. Okay, so we just did the shot. Well, we didn't finish it, but we're going to shoot with this ship onto this ship that just moved 2 hexes into there, and we kept forgetting to do this rake resolution table. So we rolled a d10 and we got a 6 on the roll. We add the audacity rating as 1 for the UP, so that is so you subtract that, so 6 minus 1 is a 5. And then you add the range to the target, which is 2 hexes, so it's 5 plus 2 is 7. And I think the commander quality only applies if the commander's on the ship. So we didn't get the rake, but we still continued to shoot to roll to see what hits we get. Okay, so we just did another shot from the battery, and this part became a bit more clear. It's that these DRMs, firing while anchored and firing outside the broadside arc, those only apply if you're shooting at the battery. If you are shooting as the battery, then this is the only DRM that applies, this +2. Or it doesn't really say that's the only.
Yeah, it makes sense though, doesn't it?
Oh, that says they neither benefit nor are penalized by wind effects.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Final video. Okay, so this is the final state of things. We've got 1 ship here. Oops, let me point with this one. We've got 1 UP ship here, 1 ship there, and 1 ship there with the battery there. The ships are all at anchor. This one took 1 hull hit, the commander's there. And we've got Spanish ships just to them, but ran out of time before they could really start doing any damage. These ships never got to do any shots because they were transports, so they couldn't shoot straight forward. and these guys were too far away. So our conclusion is that you want to go straight in as the Spanish and don't waste any time, because you don't have time to do maneuvers. So it seems like the goal, the scenario here is really more about how you react to the chaos of what happens when you engage, rather than like fancy maneuvers prior to engaging, something like that.
Well, had it worked,
Yeah.
we would have gone, "What? This is a great strategy."
Well, yeah. It was a good idea. We just didn't have enough time. But okay. Any final thoughts? No? Yeah, I don't have any final thoughts. I'm excited to, continue trying this system. It's a really fun system, and it plays pretty quickly when you know how to.
Once you know what's going on.
Once you know what's going on, yeah, you can move through the tables pretty quickly. And that was the goal of this system, is to be faster to play than what's the other one? Wooden Ships and Iron Man.
I've never played that one.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
I haven't. But some people are huge fans.
I would like to have a go at it
Yeah.
to compare.
Yeah. I don't have it, but if someone.
I've got a digital copy of it.
Okay. Yeah, we can try it there.
I've got a PDF
All right.
somewhere.